A lot of breaking news at this hour to go through, guys. We've got a new quarter beginning with a pre-holiday rally thanks to a surprisingly positive ISM number on manufacturing. Another surprise for the former chief of the IMF, Dominique Strauss-Kahn. He is free from house arrest as doubts swirl about his accuser. And do American companies have to accommodate all service animals? Giddy up, because Rainbow, the miniature horse, is live on the plaza. There you go. Hi, everybody. I'm Cheryl Casoni, and joining me for the hour today, I've got James Frischling, co-founder, president of NewOak Capital, and FoxBusiness.com's Dunstan Pryall. We're getting some breaking news right now.
Well, simply, the economy continues to expand. We see decent earnings coming out of the S&P 500. It's not a very big jump to get from here to 1,400, so we think we can have some positive momentum between now and then. Overall, we think that the summer could still have some choppiness because, after all, we still have some unsettled business in terms of Europe and their debt crisis. And also, as we go through the debating process of looking at our budget and the debt ceiling in the United States, we should have some angst around that. So we may have some volatility near term, but I think that as we look out into the fall and later on this year, particularly with the data that we saw this morning, like the ISM numbers and the better than expected auto sales numbers, those all help support the case for growth, and that's why we think that eventually we move higher.
I want to take this to James Frischling because, Jim, if you look at the industries, you get the breakdown of the ISM report, 12 of 18 industries showed growth. Is that a positive signal? You had Chicago PMI yesterday, also a surprise to the markets.
And I think that's one of the key drivers today of the uptick we're seeing in the market was the very positive manufacturing number. To me, the other side of that coin was the negative announcement in terms of U.S. construction. 6 months in a row down, lowest point in a decade. And if this market is going to continue to expand, it's going to do it with it's going to be a jobless recovery because the construction industry are huge employers, and if they're not spending, I'm telling you, the job market's going to be challenged.
Dunstan, it's all about growth. We had negative news coming in May. We were concerned about, in particular, New York manufacturing. Then we get all this data that tells us something completely different.
I know. It is confusing. But one thing, maybe Kevin can correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like no one's really questioned the strength of corporate America. You have weak peripheral markets. You have weak labor markets. You have weak housing market. But corporate America has been strong. Their earnings and so forth have been strong for quarter after quarter. Am I fairly accurate in that assessment?
Yeah, you're spot on. I think if you think of it this way, households have been busy saving to pay off debt. Businesses have been very miserly in terms of their expenditures, and cash has been piling up, profits have been piling up. But what you'd really like to see would be to see companies deploying some of that cash because they're seeing better investment opportunities. And it's the macro environment that I think corporations are a bit concerned about. They still look at the household here in the United States, and they're a bit concerned that the pace of growth expected over the next couple of years is still a little bit tepid. But if confidence comes around and we begin to see some continuation of trends like we've seen over the last couple of quarters, that could be a game changer.
And let me take this to Phil.
I mean, the Cruise had its third straight month of over 20,000 units of sales, so we see that momentum continuing. But importantly, as we come out with the new Chevrolet Sonic in the last quarter of the year and the Buick Verana, we're just adding to our portfolio of fuel-efficient small cars. We're also coming out with the e-assist on the Buick LaCrosse and Regal, and that's going to get a mid-size car at 37 miles per gallon on the highway. So really some good tools, I think, as we get into the second half of the year.
Just a question. Car sales seems to, has exceeded. Car sales hasn't been this much a percentage of overall sales for Chevy in over 20 years. How much do you think of that is the fuel-conscious consumer? And is it a trend you think is going to continue in terms of what was known as a fabulous truck brand is now getting a solid reputation as a car company?
Yeah, it's interesting because I think it's a little of both. I mean, the consumer is definitely looking more to cars and fuel efficiency than they did maybe a year or two ago. But importantly for us, we now have the products, particularly in the Chevrolet Cruise, to offer them. So Chevrolet is really going to be known as a brand that's not only iconic in the truck world, but also going forward in the car world.
Hey, Jim, along those lines, I hate to ask you to second guess your colleagues or anything, but really, what took you so long? Why did it take GM so long to realize that what Americans want and often need are these fuel-efficient cars?
Yeah, I would say that we actually made a lot of attempts to meet that need in the past. We weren't as successful. The Cruise, though, is an example of really meeting head on all the needs, not just fuel economy where the Eco gets 42 miles per gallon, but if you look and drive that vehicle, the exterior styling, interior styling, a little bit bigger than the other competitors, we really hit a home run this time.
Don, before I let you go, I do want to ask you about the possibility of the country going to a recession again. I'm wondering if you and the other executives are having those conversations. Are you prepared for the possibility of a double-dip recession, especially when the stock is still below the IPO price?
We don't see that in our future right now. We see the recent bad economic news, particularly in the middle of May, really as being a short-term bump in the road. We do see once we get into June, July, August that the economy is going to get back on that steady recovery we saw early. The automotive industry is going to get back above a 13 million SAR, and that's what we're basing our plans in. I can't control the stock price on a day-to-day basis, but we're going to keep doing what's made us so successful in the first half of the year, where we gained share, retail and total, and we did it profitably. So pretty good formula for success, I think.
All right, Don Johnson, General Motors Vice President of U.S. Sales and Operations. Don, always great to talk to you on this day. Thank you, sir.
1 year ago, I opened my store, 15 months to date, and we had 800 people at our door, and I struck a nerve in the country, and I woke the giant up that people still care, people still love the country, and want to buy made-in-America products and help their own.
I read a little bit about your company. It's a great story, particularly the research you guys do to break down products and make sure, as you say, it's 100% American. Is this idea scalable? Have people approached you about trying to expand this?
Absolutely. It's unbelievable the calls and the emails we've got from around the country. They not only want it in their city, they want it in their town. All week we've had people on the phones just taking calls from the latest media surge. They really love the idea.
I want to thank James Frischling and Dunstan Prowl. Guys, a busy news day. Who would have thought it, right? But thank you very much for spending the hour with me. It's always good to see you. James has got his red tie on. That is it for all of us. Lori Rothman.